Welcome back to Phil Valentine with you, 1-800-618-PHIL. That's 1-800-618-7445. So are our military bases secure? Marshall Chamberlain, he's a former Marine Corps officer. He's also done a lot of things. Spent many years as an investment banker, venture capital, spent as a professional waiter. He's done about all of it. He's got a new book out, The Mountain Place of Knowledge, about discovering ancient technology. But he has access to military bases all over the world, and I wanted to chat with him about that specifically, and then a little broader about the book and everything else. Marshall, how are you?
Gosh, I'm great, Phil. I appreciate you having me aboard.
It is my pleasure. So, how long have you been out of the Marine Corps?
I spent 4 years in active duty, way back in the Vietnamese crisis.
Okay. So, but you still have access. It says you know something about these military installations around the world. How safe are they? Because we look at the Nadal Hassan incident, and where they still want to call it a workplace shooting instead of a terrorist attack, and wonder how vulnerable we are.
Well, that's the whole point of us getting together. Your program is centered around an audience base that just loves you to death and appreciates your critical thinking and challenging conventional wisdom, trying to find solutions to problems. And I'm just here to tell you, if you can guide me a little bit through this, what the problem is that I've seen, and how I came about to see it.
Well, what do you see as the problem?
Well, I've been going to the military bases for a decade, and playing golf and taking advantage of the wonderful recreation facilities that are there as a disabled veteran from the Vietnamese War. And I feel very fortunate to be able to have access to those privileges. During the course of that time, I've always been just sort of amazed at how lax the security was at all these bases that I visited. I've probably visited a dozen of them many times over this last decade. And one day, gosh, it must have been back in August, September timeframe, the D.C. naval supply incident in Washington, D.C. Just threw me over the edge. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. I just decided I had to do something to explain my own outrage. And so what I did, because I'm an author, I write adventure thrillers, I decided I'd write a short story about a plausible incident, and I took MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa as my place of this incident taking place.
So what you see is, I mean, you go visit these, to get your as far as you talk about the privileges of being able to go play golf or whatever the case may be. But how hard is it to get on and off one of these military bases?
Well, that's the whole guts of what I've written. I've written a short story. It's called The Gruesome Foursome, a Terrorist Scenario. And I've taken the position of looking through the eyes of the terrorists and outlining the story in kind of a documentary fashion so that it would kind of rush and rage and end up very quickly, bringing some provoking elements to the fore of readers. The key thing here in the story is, and in all the military bases that I've been at, is that the small end of the funnel takes place at the guard gate at all of these bases. It's what gets through there is the problem. And my story will outline how easy it is to get through and how easy it would be to create tremendous disaster on a military base.
So can you be a civilian and go on a military base, or do you have to have an appointment, or how easy is it to get on?
Well, how that works is, and this is true pretty much across the board, Phil. You, as a person who holds an identification card as an active duty member of the service, or a person like myself who's a disabled veteran, you have a different colored ID card, and there's probably 2 or 3 other ID cards that will let you get aboard the base. You simply show the military guard your ID, and he waves your vehicle right through. That's as simple as that.
So they don't check the vehicle, they don't for explosives or anybody hiding in the trunk or anything else. Huh?
That's affirmative, and anybody in the vehicle is not questioned about their ID. They don't have to have an ID.
Really? So it's easier than sneaking into a drive-in movie, really.
Phil, it's unbelievable. It's outrageous, and that's why I'm talking with you. I want to try to raise awareness so that your wonderful listeners out there will go and download this story complimentary and then do something about it. Become proactive. Write their congressman. Go on social media. Go viral. Tell their loved ones and their friends, and help me to get the government perhaps do something about this.
Before we go any further, I guess they can go to MarshallChamberlain.com. Is that right?
Yes, that's where you go to get the download. It's a PDF download of my article. Again, the article's name is "The Gruesome Foursome: A Terrorist Scenario." And a person, one of your listeners out there, just goes to my website, clicks on the book tab, and then clicks on the Gruesome Foursome: A Terrorist Scenario tab.
All right. So, what can we do to make things better? I guess we as a government. What should be done now to make the bases safer?
Now, that's the hardest thing of all. I don't have the expertise to be able to sit down and outline decisions. That's for the big boys. I think once the big hole of vulnerability is pointed out by lots and lots of people, and some tremendous outrage and different types of expression of that outrage, that the critical thinkers will put their hats on and get busy to changing the situation. But just off the cuff, I would say that the small end of the funnel, where those cars and trucks, vehicles are coming into the base, that's where the problem is. And if we had proper scanning equipment, which will cost, the vehicles could be scanned just like at an airport, when they can see probably 95% of any problem.
Now, in your short story, my understanding is that the terrorists are actually domestic terrorists. They're not foreign terrorists. Any particular reason you chose that as a vehicle for the short story?
Not any particular reason, but Phil, there's been identified over 1,000 groups in our country, right here on the homeland, that are classified by the FBI as groups to watch. They're hate groups. There's several other names and categories that they put all of these groups in, and they have the busy task of watching what the heck they're doing. But you can see from what's happened in the last 4 or 5 years with these crazy people, demented folks, doing devastating things to military bases, and like the Oklahoma incident a decade ago. These are going to go on, and there's probably not very much of a way that that I can do anything to stop that or to make any suggestions. That's the FBI's job in Homeland Security. But this particular vulnerable situation on military bases is so obvious, so outrageous, it's so pathetic that it needs attention right away, and we can help save lives. Our servicemen, their families, contractors, faithful employees that come from the civilian aspects working on these bases. There's just thousands and thousands of people there every day on hundreds of bases across the country. They're at risk, and it's all that short end of the funnel.
All right, we're talking with Marshall Chamberlain. He's got a short story about this on his website. Marshall, I want to do this.
Yes, sir.
We don't normally do this with guests, but we got people that want to chat with you about this, and I'm going to start with Jerry, who I believe has questions for you. Jerry, you're on with Marshall Chamberlain. How are you, Jerry?
I'm fine, Phil. I have no disagreement with what your author is talking about. I've worked in one of these bases, and trying to watch that small end of the funnel is going to be terribly hard because, for one thing, all the bases are different, and they have different levels of security. The one that I'm familiar with, that I worked at, has a Naval Aviation Museum as well as a National Cemetery on it. So you've got all kinds of civilians coming on that base to visit the museum as well as to go to the cemetery to visit loved ones. The type of security that would be needed to check every one of those people, as well as retired people at this base, have access to the trailer park where they can bring their campers and stay and use the Navy Lodge. I mean, there's all kinds of traffic going through this particular base. Another base in this area has a minimum security federal prison on it. So, I understand what he's saying. I totally agree. I'm just saying that it'd be a nightmare, or you need an MIT degree probably to figure out a way to really lock these places down. Now, the other base down the road from us at Eglin is a totally different animal. They have high security down there, and dogs and people, and everybody's checked in the car when they come in, and it's a all different animal because they have a different mission down there, and they keep things pretty well locked up. But that's really all I have to say. It's not an easy task to do that.
Yeah, well, let me appreciate the phone call, J.J. Marshall, to address that. He's talking about a place down in Pensacola where they have the Naval Museum, and civilians can just, I guess, leave the Naval Museum and be actually amongst the other folks.
Well, I think I see Jerry's point, and he's just beginning to see the picture and wants to reach out and say, hey, it's an awful broad thing to be able to even try to figure out solutions like you like to do, Phil. But I would say to Jerry that we're not talking about Walmarts and Kmarts and big places where folks go every day. I mean, that's just a different kind of security problem, and I'm not focusing on that. I don't have the expertise to be able to deal with that, and I don't know if we'll ever get to the big brother aspect of trying to protect everything that's around from people walking around to get enjoyment and visit cemeteries and what have you, shop. The military bases, on the other hand, are controllable. The short end of the skinny end of the funnel, again, is the key. And a base like MacDill Air Force Base, which houses the Southern Command, the Southern Command, that's like a huge operational, administrative, high security function that base performs. And that's where this incident takes place. And I guarantee that there is no checking of vehicles. It's just open-ended, and that's what this is all about. And again, a side comment is that maybe the overall vulnerability that this article points out and this whole discussion here is revolving around is something in terms of military bases that you could make some distinctions as to which ones had priority to tighten up the security, whatever the means were that were devised, if we got enough viralness out there.
Yeah. All right, let's talk to Carol in Florida before we have time. Carol, you're on with Marshall Chamberlain. Carol, how are you?
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment. I frequent that base that Jerry talks about quite a bit because my mom is buried out there, and they just asked me for a picture ID, and I tell them where they're going. So that's, I would think if maybe they could scan vehicles or, something like that, just not stop and question everybody, but maybe like a big X-ray machine or something to scan vehicles in case somebody's trying to get in there. And also, they have the place where people can bring their boats in.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, right outside the pass, there's an entrance into the boat ramp over there. So anybody can, that's a concern too. I mean, it's not, the area that he's talking about, it's not, I wouldn't really call it major like maybe in Washington or out in California or something, but it is a base that a lot of civilians can have access to.
Interesting. All right, Carol.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful
Thanks, Carol.
base, though. It's beautiful.
Well, and
But
I want to ask you one thing, Carol, before I let you go. I mean, how much cane would be raised by people like you if the security got to where they were doing complete vehicle checks, trunk and everything else, and people were lined up out on the main road waiting to get in?
Well, if they, I don't know, it might be a pain in the neck, but if they can scan maybe vehicles or something, some sort of protection for the people that do work there and the people that do go there, like that frequent the museum and go to the cemeteries, and, there has to be, but, like the other caller was saying too, and what Marshall said, it depends on the area, where the base is also.
Yeah,
is it where terrorists are prone to go? But nowadays, you just don't know.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Carol, appreciate it. Marshall, I guess you're saying that we need to tighten up where we need to tighten up, and some of the other places we may not need to tighten up as much.
That's absolutely right. I don't think that we should be concerned on a priority basis about museums and cemeteries and that kind of thing. We're looking at big places with big exposure, like MacDill with like I say, the Southern Command is there. They're the principal refueler practically all over the world for all of our aircraft in the air. All takes place out of there. Very, very high-tech stuff and very important to our country.
Excellent. Well, they can go to your website. It's Marshall Chamberlain, 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 MarshallChamberlain.com. And they can download this short story for free. It's a PDF file.
Absolutely.
It's called The Gruesome Foursome is the name of it.
Right, and it's you just click on the book tab and you'll see the drop-down tabs and one of them will be for The Gruesome Foursome. And I just hope that your listeners, Phil, will be motivated and charged up like I am to help me bring this thing viral.
All right, excellent. Marshall, appreciate it.